Hello and welcome to the very next episode of the Reasonably Priced Campervan. So in our last episode we talked about the initial introduction of this van and what it was going to be doing and achieving, and in this episode what I'll be getting into is just moving a bit more of the preparation before I can start insulating and moving the van along. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so in this episode, as I said, I'll be there. Okay, so what I did since the last recording, so very straightforward job just to remove the bulkhead. Obviously the bulkhead separates the front seats with the cargo area, and it was really a straightforward job. I didn't bother to film that because there's that many videos on the internet doing it. I'll just talk quickly about what exactly the process was. So dotted around the frame of the bulkhead, I think there was 10 of these size 10 nuts, which you just simply remove just with a simple socket set. So 10 of those out, and I think there was this larger one towards the bottom center which I think was a size 12, and that was just a simple nut. And then in two spots, just to here and the same on the opposite side, is essentially a riv nut. So very straightforward with a metal drill. Just take the top of the head off of that riv nut, and then it just simply pops off. And then I've just moved it to the side of the van for now, because what I plan on doing next is removing everything from the van so that I can get this floor up, so I can start to look and prepare and treat what potentially is some spots of rust where the floor is screwed into the floor, or other things are screwed into the floor. Make sure that we're all treated and prepped, and I'll show you what that looks like as I get into it. Of course I'll need to remove the diesel heater, which is still in place, so I'll just take that off and then we can get going. Okay, so that's the floor taken up. Absolute state. So next hour or so is probably going to be spent cleaning this up, treating the rust spots, sanding them back first of course, and I did have to remove the diesel heater. So in order to get that out, I did actually break the exhaust, but that's fine because I do have a replacement for that. The fuel line I've had to disconnect as well, and obviously this hole is going to need some sanding, treating, painting. So I'll do that throughout, and then what I'll do is I'll bring you back once I'm ready to put the floor temporarily back down, because I do plan on insulating it but I don't have it yet, and then I'll be able to move on to the next stage. So just returning, what I've done now is I've gave the floor a solid clean throughout, end to end, and taken a wire brush to any rust spots. And there was obviously a lot of areas where it wasn't necessarily heavy rust, but it was areas where the floor was rubbing, so perhaps looks worse than it is. And just to be sure, I've coated that in red oxide. So obviously the diesel heater's come out, so I'm going to prepare that area. The diesel heater will go in once the floor's done, and I've just worked my way around the entire floor of the van. There is a vent as well that comes in these BT vans. That's just going to have a piece cut out the bulkhead that was recommended, so I'm just going to Sikaflex that down and underseal it from the underside just to protect that for longevity. But what I would say is try and think more about the next step, because what I wish I did at this point was have the insulation ready to go down on the floor. I don't yet have that, so the problem with that was I had to put the floor somewhere, so temporarily we've had to bring it inside the house. So the wife's not too happy about that, but it'll be obviously able to go down once the insulation is ready. So yeah, so I think I'm pretty much ready to let this harden. I'm going to put a white coat of Hamrite over this as well, and then I'll be able to fill the hole from that front vent that I explained, and once the insulation is then down I'll be able to refit the floor, refit the diesel heater, and then I've got a solid base then by which to carry on with the next steps. Now I have already had arrive some extra parts which I'm planning on covering in future videos, so I'll move the things on and I'll come straight back. And welcome back. So this is the tail end of this video. So what we did yesterday, just to recap, was we had the floor lifted. We treated, after removing surface rust with a wire brush all over the base of the van, and then what I did was I coated that in red oxide, and then what I did last night was just to cover this all in a white hammerite paint. Honestly, it's not a perfect colour match, but then you're not going to see this anyway. So this is just obviously drying. I can still smell the paint here, so I've had the windows open all morning, and so I'm just going to be leaving that here. Now what I'll probably be doing after concluding this video is, in the next video, I think what I'm going to do is a combination of the rear vent. So what I've opted for is just a opening vent to go over where the fixed bed is going to go, and then towards the front I'm thinking I'm going to have something like a max air fan. It may not be the max air fan, I've not ordered one yet, but I'm thinking about going for a more reasonably priced option to go and coincide with the theme of this video. So max air fans, as you know, they're surplus of 300 quid in the UK. And so I've been looking at some other options that are available. They're exactly the same size, do a very similar thing, but they're around about half the price of that, so probably be using one of those as well. So I'll talk more about that in the next and upcoming videos. I'll conclude this video here. Hope you've enjoyed this installment. As I said earlier, I do need to wait for the insulation to arrive. Now I have just ordered that. That's coming next Wednesday, so probably in about a week's time or so there'll be a fresh update. I'll be getting the floor insulation down, ready for the floor to go back on, and then I can really start to move on with layouts and such. But for now, I'm going to conclude this video, and it's been great talking with you. Hope to see you again soon. Take care. Bye bye.